Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. Pasta Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos, fam.
Fam, why are you screaming into the mic?
Because it's a day to scream, fam. It's craziness that happens. I mean, obviously we're gonna get into it in the first part, but let's talk a little bit real quick, do a little unpacking. So while people come and kind of matriculate into our stream, like and share, everybody, get it out there. Sometimes the bell's not working for us, but sometimes it is. Do we have a warning underneath our thing today? No warning.
No.
Okay. Usually for every single time we do a show, it's the elections have been called by the AP. Stop questioning it, you assholes at the Convo Couch. Talk about something else. But today, it has nothing underneath. We have 80-something people on in the YouTubes. Fam, we have 10 people. Yo, Pasta, can we bring back the dancing dolphin sometime? That's a Johnny department. You're gonna have to talk to Johnny about the dancing dolphin. Maybe we can at least get the pink dolphin from the Amazon. Do we still have that sound? Maybe we can get that back first.
Yeah.
But we'll work on it. Fred, thank you so much. Independent. Oh, there it is. Johnny, get it going real quick. There you go, Fred Edward. That was just for you. Dolphin Tsunami 2024.
Yeah.
Independent Left News. Guys, if you haven't liked Independent Left News, please go over and do so. They usually have 2 Instagrams every day, and you can go to their podcast and listen to them. They just give you a rundown of the top 5 stories that are out there during the morning, the top 5 podcasts, and they do an evening version of it too. Independent Left News. It's awesome. And I believe Ron Placone does the little jingle in the beginning to get them all ready. Thanks, brother. Thank you, my friend. 12 watching on the Rokfin. And guys, insider news. Get over to the Rokfin. Let's boost the Ray up. Let's all buy Ray and shoot it up for us before they turn off the intranet on us and say no more. You can't do it, fam. What do you think about that?
Yeah, workers of the world unite, right?
David, thank you for the super sticker. We have 100 people over on the YouTubes. Anyways, fam, this is kind of an interesting story. I mean, wow.
It's very interesting.
We've been talking about this whole, I guess it's like, I want to say cultural divide, I guess, when it comes to the whole Fred Hampton thing, the Boogaloo Boy. We've been kind of all up in this for the whole last week talking about that subject. And while we've been talking about
it wasn't even just culture as much as it was class, too. Because we were talking about how class is the system. To me, it's capitalism, imperialism is what breeds a lot of these situations, like with racism, with miseducation.
Yeah.
All that stuff is all connected.
Yeah, I guess I'm focusing on the way that's kind of talked about, the way people are saying, no, you shouldn't do this because the Boogaloo Boys, because they know they're Inspector Clouseau, they've done deep dives and they've seen from their keyboards that the Boogaloo Boys supposedly are more of a right-wing, white supremacist, no bueno is what they say, even though we interview certain people. We interview people who are actually on the streets with the Boogaloo Boys, and they're caught up in that whole thing. We've seen shows, people making shows just going at Jimmy for interviewing Magnus, people coming at us for interviewing Magnus, talking about the YPO and stuff. So, yeah, but at the end of the day, I think the whole message is, and we've talked about this, it's not about uniting, really. I mean, isn't it more about understanding who your real enemy is?
Right.
That it's the elites, that the game is rigged.
It's a class struggle. You don't want a race war, because if you have a race war, you're not going to have a class war.
Yeah.
Because the race war will inevitably distract the attention away from actually having that class war. And that doesn't mean that you're not taking into account actual, systemic racism at all. It's just you're going about it in a different way.
Yeah. And I think it's important to understand, like, who is pulling the strings, who's behind us, because what took place over the last several days in the stock market, a couple of apps that you do your trading through are really, really suspect. I mean, they pretty much told you what they did. They went in your face and said, this is what we're doing. We're pretty much going to stop you from what they call manipulating the market. I mean, they can manipulate it any way they want. They can go behind the scenes, get insider information. Nancy Pelosi, how much money did she make from Tesla from her last stocks? But when the common man does it, fam,
right, different rules apply.
We're going to stop you. I mean, it reminded me of the election, the way they just stopped everything in the middle of the night and they started changing shit. Well, let's take a look, a little story to the inside of what happened this last week. It's really just mind-blowing, and really it just gives weight to our analysis and our thought process that we need to understand who the common enemy is. against the poor people and the average people out here. It's the rich and the elites, and they have a rigged game, a rigged system, and they will always screw you. So let's stop fighting each other and fight these assholes first.
Stop playing in a rigged game that you're never going to win.
Johnny, you got the first video. We'll give a little explanation of what took place over these last couple days.
Salute TLDR for those who are starting on this as the first video in the series. We just start with this one. You have large billion-dollar hedge funds that have bet on GameStop failing by short selling the stock. This means selling shares that you don't actually, you haven't paid for yet, with the idea that if it goes down, you pay for it later. Rather than do this much shorting, they did this much shorting. They shorted more than 120% of the available float. Normal, average, everyday people on Reddit saw this using publicly available information and then bought the stock knowing that they are going to have to buy back in and cause them to lose their bet. And what's been going on over the past few days is GameStop has gone from being a stock that used to be a few months ago $4 to $10 to $20 to $40 to $80 to $150 to $350 and so on and so forth. This is not because the Redditors did stock market manipulation. This is because a greedy hedge fund decided to make sure that they were shorting a stock that was over 120% shorted, and that causes incredible problems, and what they were doing is most likely illegal. That looks like naked short selling. Now, the financial press and the media have been really kind of massaging the balls of the hedge funds while pointing the finger at those evil Redditors, and I've been going over this in all of my videos. You've seen them called hackers. We went over that BS. You've seen them called alt-right and Nazis. We went over that BS. And now that the normal BS didn't work, they're moving on to a more direct approach, which is, who cares what people think of our actions? We're just going to take them anyway. Today is...
He goes into today, what today is and how bad it is and whatnot. Yeah. It's crazy. So we're pretty much what they did is TD Ameritrade, Robinhood, all these other, there was several apps.
So that was the lead up to yesterday.
Today, yeah.
When then...
do you want to explain it?
So yesterday, all these trading companies halted trading, or halted buying of GameStop shares, halted buying of AMC shares, because those are the companies that the Wall Street Bets subreddit, which we can see here.
Wall Street Bets.
It's here, and this is where they kind of talked about it. They have a daily discussion thread. Yeah. Every day. So
pretty much what they decided to do was join in together to inflate a stock that had not as much value. In other words, a lot of these companies that short these stocks, these hedge funds, they look for these stocks that they know the company is going to be going down. GameStop is one of those companies they kind of studied and like, okay, they're going to lose value over here because GameStop is almost insignificant, right? What do you get at GameStop anymore? You order your stuff online, right? Your shit gets delivered right to your door.
For
you can
people
download
who don't
your
know
games.
what GameStop is, they sell video games, hardware and video game discs. And
back in the days, we used to go hang out at a GameStop when we were in the mall, play the video game that was there, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Purchase your game there. If we would buy when I bought an Xbox, the only Xbox I bought it at a GameStop, and they called me when it came in, and I went and picked it up. Yeah. They were the place to do that, but now with the big contracts in Best Buy and Target, stuff online. Amazon is another big one. GameStop has become somewhat insignificant. And I look at it when I see it, I'm like, oh, it reminds me of a Blockbuster. So it was
obsolete.
So big.
It's becoming obsolete. Kind of like Blockbuster became obsolete.
So what the hedge fund was doing, they were going in there and they were hoping that they were going to be able to short the stock. In other words, take the stock, borrow it from a person who owns it, sell it at a high price. When it drops down, they rebuy it, and all the money they made in that, they'll give the person they did business with a piece of it, and they'll take the money themselves. But what these Redditors decided to do was like, what we're going to do is we're going to buy heavily into the stock. When you buy into the stock, you raise the price up, and therefore they were going to make money off. And I don't know, Johnny, in your opinion, if it was just about making money on this stock, or if it was a part of like sticking it to these hedge funds that made their business known out there, that it was public that they were shorting this particular stock. So, I mean...
It was really about making money. That's what the whole subreddit is. It's Wall Street Bets. They're like, we're trying to see which penny stock is going to blow up and, stuff like that. But they used, like the video said, publicly available information to find out that that stock in particular, GameStop, was super short sold.
They did what these hedge funds do. But it's not okay when they do it.
Yeah.
That's the problem here.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how you feel about these people for participating in capitalism, because to me, if I'm going to be honest, the stock market, very few Americans have the money to participate in the stock market.
Exactly.
So that's not even taking into account the vast majority of people. And to me, this is showing more and more that it's a rigged game, that this isn't real. The economic system could be completely taken down if enough people got together and did this. But even then, the Wall Street, combined with our fucking government, combined with the oligarchs in our government, have worked together to stop people from doing what they do every single fucking day. Yeah. And that in itself should tell you that you cannot reform this by continuing to vote more people in who are part of this. I mean, this is Joe Biden's well, we're going to go into that, but there's just elements of the government here knowingly involved. The laws that they have made allow this to happen.
Well, think about who they're protecting, right? They're protecting their sugar daddies. They're protecting the people who get them their money. They're protecting Wall Street. Joe Biden is a Wall Street president, the same way Barack Obama was a Wall Street president.
The same way Trump was too.
Yeah, but Obama and Biden got more money from Wall Street than Trump did. That's for sure. And he's close with a lot of these people in the financial institutions, the Larry Summers, the Janet Yellen, who we're going to talk about. They're Greenspanites. They're the same way. These are the people like Bill Clinton who came along and they let them get rid of Glass-Steagall so they can perform all these things. It should be illegal to short a stock, to bet against it. But they've got this whole freaking market where these hedge funds come in and make money off of stock going down. How is that even legal? This was not illegal. This was not legal back in the days. And that's what they did. These companies, mainly Robinhood is the one in focus where everybody's looking at it, where when all these people from Reddit and all the people got together, they started buying the stock, inflating it. Well, they shut down their ability to continue to buy it. Got information from the hedge funds that took a kicking right in the mouth. It was Melvin Group. They took a beating in the mouth from the stock going so much up because they were counting on it being shorted, that they stopped people, the average Joe, from buying the stock so it wouldn't continue to go up and instead it would go back down. They can sell their shorts again. That's Wall Street, these hedge funds, Citadel, and they make their money back. They manipulated the market from within inside. They almost just pulled the plug on the common man to stop him from making money so they can make money on the back end. What I think they did is completely freaking illegal. But once again, fam, the grayness of the laws is going to allow them to get away with this. So
you got the video?
We have a video. Let's here. Johnny's going to go into what happened yesterday even more.
Thomas, do you understand people's anger, your customers' anger, given that essentially you changed the rules of the game right in the middle of the match, at the most important moment in the match, even if your terms and conditions allow you to do that? Do you understand their anger that you changed the terms of trade for them just as things were getting heated up?
I do, but when you say right in the middle of the game, then you're saying as the squeeze is going on, stronger and stronger. But that's illegal. That's manipulative. So it cannot be done.
What is going on, Cheddar Chasers? We have a lot to cover in this video, so make sure that you stick around for the entire video. Putting aside diamond hands and memes for a second, today was filled with market manipulation that was borderline criminal. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I have to preface this by saying don't believe every single piece of information that you hear on the news. We are in the middle of a literal monetary war right now, and a lot of misinformation is being spread. That could even be me. I could accidentally be presenting misinformation from some of the news sources that I am giving you. So please make sure that when you do find an article online, you're not automatically gravitated towards one opinion. You have to understand that there are very powerful people at play here with a lot of money, a lot of bribery going on as well, potentially, in this tug of war. With that,
go ahead. What do you got to say on it, brother? Anything? No, I mean, I like the way he's laying it out right now. Take a look for yourself, because there's going to be talk, because we heard a lot of talk about the way the mainstream media was kind of going after these people. Even the guy in the beginning of the first video, we really didn't get deep into that, but they were saying these guys on Reddit were Nazis, these guys were whatever. So what he's saying is analyze it from everything that's going on. Just don't take my perspective.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about their political affiliation.
But that's
why
what
do we
do.
have to? Why do you
terrible.
have to muddy the waters with that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, this is bigger than that now, right?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the legality, that using the law. The law is already faulty, because the law. What happened was Glass-Steagall during the Clinton administration is the repealing of Glass-Steagall is what literally allows this to happen. And that was brought to us by a Democratic president and continued by Obama, definitely not changed under Trump. And so now we have this because all of our presidents have been Wall Street presidents.
Yep.
Every single fucking one of them.
It was the neoliberal Ronald Reagan and then the neoliberal Clinton. It was deregulation, then more deregulation, showing you that it doesn't make a difference. It's a Republican and a Democrat. And I like what he says. We're in a monetary war here, ladies and gentlemen. The little man versus the big guys. That's plain and simple what's going on. Let's do it.
First thing is first, let's talk about what happened with AMC and GameStop today. Of course, restrictions on the stocks were put in place. You could only sell the stocks and you couldn't buy them. Now, what is that innately going to do when certain brokerages are restricting buying but not selling? Well, that is going to drive the share price down because now the volume of bids significantly goes down when people can't buy the stock. And then what happens is there are more sells than buys. That drives the share price down, causing a snowball effect of panic selling. And that is what caused GameStop to fall from $500 highs in the pre-market to nearly $100. GameStop was down nearly 80% today from its pre-market highs. AMC also fell from its pre-market highs from $20 down to $7. And somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but this was confirmed as far as I'm aware. Robinhood was indeed closing people out of their positions. This person here was closed out of a 4,500 share position of GameStop at $119.
John, I get.
That's disgusting.
John, go ahead, because they're just gonna sell your stock for you.
Yeah,
I mean,
without telling you.
What is going on?
No, wait, sorry. They tell you after they decided.
We just closed out your position. He goes on to tell you, we don't know what position this guy was, whatnot. If he had stocks up there where there was a certain amount, but they're just closing out your position for you. They're not how is that not illegal?
Like,
I don't get it.
That's totally not. Like what is this? It says they sent this guy an email. Hi, whoever it is. Let's say Bob. In light of recent volatility, we are restricting transactions for certain securities to position closing only. However, due to the unreasonable risk involved in brokering your position, we have closed your 4,500 shares of GameStop for an average price of $118 on January 28th. So that was yesterday. And that's apparently been happening to a lot of people.
A lot of people. And once again, first of all, the fact that they have the gall or the balls to say that you cannot buy the stock. When you halt the stock, you halt it both ways. You can't buy it, you can't sell it, it stays still until they figure out what's going on. They didn't even halt the stock, fam. They just halted you buying so they knew they could short the stock. All these hedge fund managers, they were in on it together.
So let's continue with the one more minute of this video. He explains everything pretty well.
Now, we don't know what this person's original position was, but it doesn't matter whether or not they were in the profit and they were holding this from $3 or whether or not they were bag holding from $400. As a brokerage, you should not be selectively choosing to liquidate certain people's positions. And also, again, on the topic of freezing buying but only allowing selling and how that is pure market manipulation, I mean, that is just borderline criminal. Fundamentally, the stock market is a place where people can go and invest in a company that they believe in order to provide them capital to expand and scale. That is what the stock market is for, but of course there are people that make money trading, and there's nothing wrong with that. The market is supposed to be a free market, and if someone wants to put a certain amount of money in the market and they're willing to lose it, that is their own choice. There is a massive difference between halting a stock, which prevents buying and selling, and only halting buying. Again, when you only halt buying, there's only one outcome that will happen. The stock price is going to fall, and that is clearly market manipulation in someone's favor.
And they're talking about it's market manipulation from the other side, Johnny. That's what the mainstream media and everybody else is talking about. Oh, they manipulated the market by getting together as citizens and saying we're going to drive up the price of the stock.
Yeah.
Not the manipulation on the other end where they just halt the fucking buying and drop the sale of the stock so they can short it and make their money and get it all back.
Yeah, exactly. So this is complete hypocrisy there.
Terrible.
So you had another tweet, right?
Well, we did have Justin Kahn, because now we're trying to make sense of this. Like, what's going on up there? Who's giving out tips? Who's in this together? And Justin Kahn took down his tip and says, I was sent a C&D.
Cease and desist.
Cease and desist, and I've decided to take away my last tweet down. But Wall Street Buyer, what's WSB?
Wall Street Bets.
Wall Street Bets. users should ask for the following in the hearings.
Because there are class action lawsuits.
They're the ones who are having the class action lawsuits, whatnot, and stuff.
We're going to show that, right?
All communications between Citadel Securities and Robinhood during this period, which they should, right? You know what I'm saying? Citadel was the main company that bought out, that helped the Melvin Group, which was the hedge fund after they recuperated their losses. It was Citadel, along with Stephen Cohen, owner of the Mets, to give them $2.7 billion to recuperate their loss, go back in there to do business. And they wouldn't give them their money, fam, unless they knew they had security on that money. So did they know this shit was going to take place, that they were going to stop them from buying and short the market? That's the big question right now. And in his tweet, he put down that he had got a tip that there was communication going on between Melvin, Citadel, and Robinhood, and some of these other apps like TD Ameritrade. What's the other one? One, I forgot. There's a couple of them, but they all. Robinhood wasn't the only one. There was multiple apps that stopped the buying.
Yeah, it wasn't just Robinhood.
It wasn't just Robinhood. They got the most attention right now.
Yeah.
But it was other apps that did it. TD Ameritrade was one. Okay, so there was communication going on saying, okay, we're going to stop the people from buying. Now you can short your position. So a lot of people are questioning what's going on because, like we know, fam, it goes all the way to the top. We don't have to put in how'd you get your name there. I thought it was just kind of cute about the whole how'd you got your name, that Nick Szabo one and stuff.
So is this the same thing?
This is the next part of it right
yeah,
here. Yeah. Want me to put this up for you?
Yeah, I was just wondering if it's the same.
It is.
Okay, so just so you guys know, and we're just going to go over a little bit of what the article says, but this tweet, just to specify, Janet Yellen, who is Biden's Secretary of Treasury, was paid over $800,000 for speaker fees from Citadel. Citadel is who forced the GME and AMC to stop being traded today. Instead of a congressional hearing to hold Yellen accountable for blatant corruption, AOC will perform on Twitch. Again, so she didn't discuss anything regarding that. And
she just said there needs to be an investigation.
Yeah.
Once again, she just kind of, once again, it's just short-sighted. It's very vague. It's out there. She makes herself look like she's the one really, raging against the machine.
There's no two ways about it. Like what happened is unacceptable, right? What happened is, it's just we shouldn't even there's no discussion. It's fraudulent what went on. Yeah.
This is a good article too as well. Right?
So this is a little crazy. So Yellen actually made over $7 million from speaking at Wall Street firms, including Citadel, which invested billions of dollars in the primary hedge fund, now suffering as a result of the GameStop stock surge. And you can see her disclosures reveal over 60 speeches to financial firms. Items 25, 29, and 49 on the list show her receiving a sum of $810,000 from Citadel in speaking fees, but that was just one example. And following a Reddit-induced skyrocket in the price of GameStop, a company heavily shorted by Melvin Capital Management, trading platforms including Robinhood have started to ban trading of the security. This will likely lower the price of the stock and help rectify Melvin's Capital's immense losses, because that's all everybody's worried about.
Yeah. Was the hedge fund getting their money back, right? Like,
right.
Wait, the guys who run shit, we got to make sure. That's why we say the money that was given to them, they have to come under question. Because are they going to give money to the people that they know they're going to lose it on, fam? Not $2.7 billion, so...
And so Citadel LLC and .72 Asset Management are investing $2.75 billion in a hedge fund, Melvin Capital Management, an emergency influx of cash that is expected to stabilize what has been one of the top performing funds on Wall Street. Citadel and its partners are investing $2 billion, and .72, which already had more than $1 billion invested in Melvin, as of 2019, is investing an additional $750 million. The fund said Monday. As part of the deal, Citadel and its partners and .72 are receiving non-controlling revenue shares in the firm that eventually expire. So there it is, the material aspects of relationship with market centers, and it explains exactly what it does. Citadel Execution Services. Robinhood Financial receives payment from Citadel Execution Services for directing equity order flow to this venue.
Yeah.
And you guys can see the different payments.
So the thing is that Citadel has a close financial relationship with Robinhood.
Right.
So that's why
they
stopped the buying of GameStop.
Citadel and the other group over there too as well.
Well, Citadel, bought out this Melvin Capital.
Pretty much, along with Point 72, which is Stephen Cohen's, the new owner of the New York Mets, the guy who he put a bid in to buy the Dodgers, lost out the bid, eventually got the Mets. I've been like so excited about what's going on, but right now he's going out there and he's defending himself after a shady deal. Now, as a New York Met fan, I can tell you we had the Bernie Madoff scam, which really hit Frank Wilpon, and you had guys like Larry King that were going out there and speaking on behalf of Frank Wilpon, and a lot of season ticket holders were actually suing the owner of the Mets because he was involved in that Bernie Madoff scam and made money. You know what I'm saying? So now a lot of Mets fans are like, really like, wait a second, what's going on? Is this your Bernie Madoff situation? He got into it with David Portnoy from Barstool, who's been out there kind of hawking and trolling people. And Bernie Madoff went after, David Portnoy went after Cohen on Twitter. Keith Olbermann jumped in. It was kind of a shady situation. But, you know, Portnoy accused Stephen Cohen and saying, well, you were involved in this, so did you know something that was going to go on? There was some shady shit going on. What's your point? You know, what's your play in this? And Cohen said he had really nothing to do with this, whatnot, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Now, the whole thing about Citadel, one of the main investors, whatnot, we see the leaks and the money going from Janet Yellen, right? Mm-hmm. Yellen was confirmed I just want to put 3 days ago as the new Secretary of Treasury. You can see all the people, even like, and it's so funny because I want to point out Bernie Sanders, who voted yay. There was once a day when Bernie Sanders would go after people and say no after Alan Greenspan. Yellen is a product of that Greenspanite kind of mentality as far as what goes on in the market and being okay with shorts and faulty swaps and saying it's okay, you know, with Glass-Steagall. But remember when Bernie went after Greenspan? What does it even matter? You know what I'm saying? When he was going after Greenspan and he was saying, you've insulted workers, Mr. Greenspan. So, I mean, I guess he's all part of the okay to let them do what they want to do kind of people now on Wall Street, you know? So that's that. By the way, too, as well, not only, fam, do you want to talk about this right here, what Google's doing?
No, go ahead.
Google just deleted over 1,000 negative reviews on the Robinhood app on their app store as well. I think Johnny checked it yesterday. Yeah. They just froze it. On Apple, it's still like 4.7. At one point on Google app, it was down to like 1 point nothing, right? So
yeah, I saw some screenshot of that or something.
They screenshot it. He has it in the video. It's a really cool video. The guy explains and stuff.
Check out the video, but I mean, it's this is why we've been talking about the power Google has and who is YouTube owned by. It's owned by Google, and who's the head of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, and what are they doing? They're controlling what you see and what you hear, and they're shutting down channels left and right, and it's this is why this is all related, because you can see how your government is bought by corporations, which signifies the definition of a fascist state, and that's what we're entering. And now you're going to have that in addition be married to this new age that we have, where everything is technology, so everything is technocratic, and you also have the use of that against the people. They're data mining people, and they're completely just taking away any sort of info they can on you to basically target you in every single way possible. So
lawsuit, fam.
Yeah, so this is the actual lawsuit, the class action lawsuit that you can see against Robinhood Financial LLC, Robinhood Securities, Robinhood Market. And it's, of course, it's an online brokerage firm. That this is the nature of the action. Robinhood purposefully, willfully, and knowingly removed the stock GME from its trading platform in the midst of an unprecedented stock rise, thereby deprived retail investors of the ability to invest in the open market and manipulating the open market. Again, a lot of these people talk about a free market and this and that, and we don't have a free market because they manipulate it for the wealthy. They like when you try to manipulate the market and impose regulations to help people, they say it can't be done. But they will do it right in the middle of the night, in the middle of when this is happening, and they will do it for the elite. They still won't give you health care. They still won't give you a stimulus, but they can manipulate entire markets for the elite.
Yeah, and the whole thing about it, fam, is about this. We know about this. We've talked about this. What YouTube does and what they did over here is stop momentum. If you stop momentum, all right, we got a great video out there. People are watching. We get subscribers. We're getting in the queue. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. stop us, halt us. I remember the Nancy Pelosi "We Feed Them" video. And the clip ended up getting almost 50,000 views, right? And we were starting to just pick up subscribers, and all of a sudden they dinged us for something months ago. Why? They have to slow down your momentum. If you slow down the momentum in the stock, you're slowing down. Now you create fear, you create anxiety, you get more people start to dump their stock. That's what they did in this situation. They stopped the momentum. And in the middle of the rise, they stopped it. They just shut it down, changed the rules,
and then they
pulled
sold
the plug.
they make profit off. They profit off of you. Like, for instance, when they demonetize our video, they still show their advertisements in our videos.
Oh yeah.
Even though we're not getting that money, they're getting that money.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because there's nothing you can do about it, and that's legal because they're a private company and they can do whatever they want.
Bullshit.
But it's no longer the case when you have such a massive influence. It's definitely a different measure than some small little company. You can't, put a paintbrush on a giant scope and say it's the same thing.
Let's show this little video of this common man, what he talks about, this dude right out in front of him in New York right here, I think in the stock exchange. This is awesome.
Robinhood took all of my GameStop stock, and without telling me, they took it out of my account. We couldn't buy AMC today. We couldn't buy Nokia today because Robinhood didn't allow us. They only allowed us to sell it because GameStop got shorted. The common man all invested in GameStop. The stock went all the way up. The same thing was supposed to happen to Nokia and AMC, but they manipulated the market so the common man couldn't win and the hedge fund investors win. They just want the hedge fund investors to make more money than the common man. But I'm here to say that the common man wins. Fuck Robinhood! Fuck Citadel! Fuck Melvin Group! We're coming for everybody!
Trying to educate the masses on Bitcoin.
Well,
I mean,
he's right. It's what they did. They did it.
He's right. I mean, I don't know anything about this guy or about these people that invest in stocks. Like I said, most of the time they have more money to spare, but not all the time. This was this particular effort actually by people also. Like, they actually planned this to see, hey, let's stab them. Let's see what we can do. Let's use their own medicine against them. Yeah. And the moment you do that, they crush you. This is why you can't say that you can just, play nice and push papers and that they're suddenly going to give you something. They're not going to give you anything. Do you not see? Like, I don't know how much more clear we need to be that during the pandemic, they can they can use this speculation against the common people on top of not doing absolutely anything else for them and amping up our war machine. That's all we're doing, and impeaching Trump. Like, those are the priorities of our government.
The thing I was thinking about today too as well when I woke up was like, wow, this is kind of crazy that they did it. But you know what? It was like something that came of, I think the elites got stung on the ass. Something they realized too is that people sitting home during this quarantine, they started looking into the game.
Yep.
And they're like, well, how do we turn the game on its head? How do we use it against them? That's what they did. And, you saw like a lot of, we'll get into some of those videos down the road with what some of the elites say and stuff. But I mean, wow. I mean, I'm very happy that the common man at home was like, oh, well, look how we can change the game and turn it on its head. We can use their speculation and the way they drive stocks up. Once again, they're super inflating a stock. It really isn't reflective of where the company is, right? So the company is not worth the amount of that stock. It's just put in there because of speculation and money going into it, shooting up the price of the stock.
But it shows that if you can manipulate a market that easily, then it's not a feasible market.
Well, yeah. I mean...
it just proves the point. Like, this market,
they wouldn't have these
system
problems
doesn't work
if they weren't playing these freaking games on the back end, the shorting it. It's terrible.
But this is where my the commie comes out. It's like, but you will always eventually, capitalism will always eventually drift to this, because the whole point of it is to make as much profit as possible at the expense of somebody else. So even if you put regulations in, somebody eventually is going to say, fuck the regulations and do this. We will end up here at the same time. This is why I think, like, there is such a thing as market socialism. There's a thing as that you can explore. But as far as like, this is an argument against capitalism, basically, in my opinion. So...
Facebook post?
Yeah, this was a great Facebook post.
Open letter? Yeah.
So this is an open letter to Melvin Capital, CNBC, Boomers, and WSB. Mm-hmm. And this was put on Reddit, the R Wall Street Bets Mods, do not delete. This is important to me. Please read. I was in my early teens during the '08 crisis. I vividly remember the enormous repercussions that the reckless actions by those on Wall Street had in my personal life and the lives of those close to me. I was fortunate. My parents were prudent and a little paranoid, and they had some food storage saved up. When the crisis hit our family, we were able to keep our little house, but we lived off pancake mix, powdered milk, and beans and rice for a year. Ever since then, my parents have kept a food storage, and they kept it updated and fresh. Those close to me, my friends and extended family, were not nearly as fortunate. My aunt moved in with us and paid what little rent she could to my family while she tried to find any sort of work. Do you know what tomato soup made out of cafeteria ketchup packets tastes like? My friends got to find out. Almost a year after the crisis low, my dad had stabilized our income stream and helped out others. He was hiring my friends' dads for odd housework. One of them built a new closet in our guest room. Another one did some landscaping in the backyard. I will forever be so proud of my parents because in a time of need, even when I have no doubt money was still tight, they had a mindfulness and compassion to help out those who absolutely needed it. To Melvin Capital, you stand for everything that I hated during that time. You're a firm who makes money off exploiting a company and manipulating markets and media to your advantage. Your continued existence is a sharp reminder that the ones in charge of so much hardship during the '08 crisis were not punished, and your blatant disregard for the law made obvious months ago for the Melvin lawyers out there, alleged illegal naked short selling, and more recently, your obscene market manipulation after hours shows that you haven't learned a single thing since '08. And why would you? Your ilk were bailed out and rewarded for terrible and illegal financial decisions that negatively changed the lives of millions. I bought shares a few days ago. I dumped my savings into GME and paid my rent for this month with my credit card and dumped my rent money into more GME, which for the people here at WSB I would not recommend, and I'm holding. This is personal for me and millions of others. You can drop the price of GME after hours, 120. I'm not going anywhere. You can pay for thousands of Reddit bots. I'm holding. You can get every mainstream media outlet to demonize us. I don't care. I'm making this as painful as I can for you. To CNBC, you must realize your short-term gains through promoting institutions' agenda is just that, short-term. Your staple audience will soon become too old to care, and the millions of us, not just at WSB, but every person affected by the '08 crash that's now paying attention to GME, are going to remember how you stuck up for the firms that ruined so many of us and tried to tear down the little guys. I know for sure I'll remember this. In response, here's a list of CNBC sponsors and partners. They include, but are not limited to, IBM, Cisco, T-Mobile, JP Morgan, Oracle, and ZipRecruiter. Their parent company is NBC Universal, owned by Comcast and GE. To the boomers and or people close to that age, just now paying attention to these millennial blog posts, you realize that even if you weren't adversely affected by the '08 crash, your children and perhaps grandchildren most likely were. We are not enemies. We're on the same side. Stop listening to the media that's making us out to be market destroyers and start rooting for us, because we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to punish the sort of people who caused so much pain and stress a decade ago, and we're taking that opportunity. Your children, your grandchildren might have suffered, as I described, because of the institutions that we're fighting against. You really want to choose them over your own family and friends? We're not asking you to risk your 401k or retirement fund on a single GME bet. We're just asking you to be understanding, supportive, and not to support the people that caused so much suffering a decade ago. And then at the very end, they say, to WSB, you are all amazing. I imagine that I'm not the only one that this is personal for. I've read myself so many posts on what you guys went through during the '08 crash. Whether you're here for gains, to stick it to the man as I am, or to just be part of a potentially market-changing movement, thank you. Each and every one of you are the reason that we have this chance. I've never felt this optimistic about the future before. This is life-changing amounts of money for so many of you, and to be part of this rare instance of wealth distribution from the rich to the poor is just incredible. I love you all. No, I can't seem to get a hold of mods, and they keep fucking removing the posts. I have no idea how to get to this to stick, and it's important to me that people I'm addressing read it. So then he at the end brings up Mark's, which Mark basically says, I have, which will surprise you not a little, been speculating. Part in American funds, but more especially in English stocks, which are springing up like mushrooms this year, in furtherance of every imaginable and unimaginable joint stock enterprise, are forced up to quite an unreasonable level and then, for the most part, collapse. In this way, I have made over 400. And now that the complexity of the political situation affords greater scope, I shall begin all over again. It's a type of operation that makes demands on one's time, and it's worthwhile running some risk in order to relieve the enemy of his money. Karl Marx, writing to Lyon Phillips, 1864.
So what was he saying there? He's bleeding them?
Basically, he's saying it's not a bad idea to try to do that, to steal some money from the rich.
To use their own methods against
them?
That's powerful, that letter.
Yeah.
That's
so I figured
powerful.
we would read it. And like this, I mean, this is the thing. The millennial generation, we have experienced two disasters, economic disasters in the span of a decade. And like, you know, when we talk about Graham's house, how Graham always talks about how they took his house away. Now this is happening again. So some people are having their house taken twice. Yeah. Do you realize how ridiculous that is, and how we live in this country where these people are becoming trillionaires? They're getting richer and richer and richer, and people are getting so poor. And we're going to talk about that in the next section.
2008, they inflated the market and it just burst, right? They played all these wicked games. They had no regulations. And what happened? America, Congress bailed them out. They gave them tons of money.
This is why
Meanwhile, the people on the streets were thrown out of their houses. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, you know, a lot of these people who made these moves went out. What I just learned with hearing that beautiful article, that letter right there, you know, they felt what happened in 2008, and they remembered. Yep. They remembered what happened. They remembered he said he ate rice and beets and pancake mix for a long time. And that happened to a lot of people, fam, because they went after they took away their pension funds because they invested money into this market, and these people took their money and put it on the blackjack table and lost it. And all the people that, you know, will work for years and blue-collar jobs had nothing. They lost 75-80% of their pensions. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people committed suicide. A lot of people. It was a really bad time for a lot of people. I mean, I was still, you know, I was just in college then. So but still, like, it was still like to me, it was still a bad time. Like, you would see, like, being in college then and everybody saying, oh yeah, the job market's going to be awesome when you get out of here. It's like, no, it's not. Like, it was, you know, it's a joke. It's like, well, all these people are going to college. A lot of them are getting in debt to go to school. And then when they come out, the market is going to suck for most people to try and get a job.
Yeah. And this just reminds me, 2008, it was Obama. Now it's 2021. And who's in there? Biden. Same cats are back in there. Same Wall Street cats. Here's Janet Yellen. Here they are. There'll be no price to pay for malfeasance whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
And
she's going to cover for them. She got money from Citadel for speeches. They didn't give her money for her expertise. They gave her money for protection. So they can do shit like this.
I don't think it would have mattered if it's Trump or Biden. I think these people would have done the same exact thing. And I'm telling you that because I think these people are rich. It's just they're billionaires. They're wealthy. The wealthy class are the enemy. The wealthy establishment elite class are the enemy. More than ever, this is what that's showing. And the Mets how are the Mets involved in this?
Well, no, I just talked about the Owen.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Stephen Cohen. We already talked about it. Johnny, you want to talk about what happened in Europe real quick late last night so we can finish up the subject?
Yeah, late last night in Europe, where individual investors have not been restricted from trading on the free market, GameStop opened 40% today. So it's just showing how it's supposed to work, right? Because Robinhood did restrict trading on the free market. And I have a few other tweets I want to show really quick. So apparently people working at Robinhood came forward to share that their founder received calls from the White House about shutting down GameStop and meme stocks, according to a Redditor who claimed he was an employee of Robinhood. So we're not sure about that claim. Biden has done more for billionaire hedge funds than providing us with survival checks. Biden is doing more to fulfill his promise to Wall Street that nothing will fundamentally change than ensuring the rest of us can survive. And then,
I mean, you know, if there was a call for, like, you know, a friend of ours told me this last night. He says it looks like they got a call from somebody up top of the White House providing cover. And it's like, once again, here they are, you know.
It would make sense. I mean, Biden had more Wall Street investors. I mean,
than
than Trump.
Yo, yeah, way more, and way more from big tech. And they got different money in different places, and you know, once again, not excusing who knows what would have happened to Trump in this situation. But
well,
these
Trump,
are
the reason I say that about
here,
Trump is because he's from New York. He was very big on Wall Street his whole life. So like, but this time they supported Biden overwhelmingly.
So I have a few other tweets, just kind of tweets I saw yesterday. This is literally retail investors versus institution and brokers.
It is.
Someone said they shut down the stock subreddit in 72 hours, but let them plan the January 6th insurrection on that same app in broad daylight. I got that right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
They let them plan an insurrection. They were part of the insurrection. Guys, like both of them, the entire establishment. There is no Democrat-Republican party. There's two pretend parties and one giant aisle.
How do I feel about my baby?
Even Ja Rule was like, yo, this is a fucking crime what Robinhood app is doing. Do not sell, hold the line, because they restricted buying more. We had that earlier. Google deleted over 100,000 negative reviews.
Yeah.
Immortal Technique said, speaking of shorting stock, did they ever find out who shorted those airline stocks just before 9/11? Just asking. You Wall Street fucks are worried about GameStop, but there are deeper questions that get brought up.
Wow.
So,
Wow,
Immortal
John.
Technique going there, and I was
Why
like,
are you going
whoa.
there, dog?
And then I was like, deeper in that thread, someone was like, it was more than just the airline. If I recall correctly, it was the actual insurance and real estate on and around the towers. And then someone said Lucky Larry Silverstein. And then I saw this post, and I haven't verified this yet, but a lot of people are saying this is true, that he acquired a 99-year lease for Twin Towers just 6 weeks before September 11th, insured both towers for $3.2 billion against acts of terrorism, and ensures he can build new World Trade Center complex if destroyed. His wife allegedly convinced him to attend dermatologist appointment on the morning of 9/11 instead of a scheduled meeting in the North Tower. Twin Towers got attacked, collapsed into dust along with his other skyscraper. Files insurance claims for $7 billion, arguing attacks on Twin Towers consisted of two separate events, thus double compensation required. Settles for $4.5 billion, and builds the new World Trade Center. So that was interesting that I saw. Deep dive there.
Johnny Deep
Jason
Dive.
Burmas.
Burmas will talk you all about it. She just listen. These questions. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. And there's speculation going around here and there. Like we said, this whole foundation is fiat currency. And that's all it is a fiat currency. It's all built on speculation. There's insider trading going on. The little guy gets shit. The guys up top make money. And when the little guy turns the table, they pull the plug on him.
So really, we just gotta follow the money every time. Basically.
Every time.
Anything
every
happens.
time. Because it decides where the resources go.
Couple other tweets. Savi said a bunch of investment apps have completely prevented regular folks from buying meme stocks so the richest of the rich can prepare behind closed doors. Some people are learning in real time how the free market has never been free.
Oh, yeah.
So I like that.
Great one.
Someone was saying that Robinhood market manipulation was called in by the White House. And I thought it was funny. The financial equivalent of Obama parachuting in to force everyone to drop out and endorse Biden.
I mean, this is what they do, guys, in every aspect. There's no separation. We go around the world, we bully people, and then we come here and we bully people too. We bully poor people of all colors, but specifically black and brown abroad. We come here, we do the same thing here too. This is all part of American exceptionalism.
Johnny. Way to grab those tweets. That's why this show is the best one around, baby. That's why the Convo Couch is great. Look at the perspective you got. 3 people working the lines over here. Johnny, way to grab those tweets and stuff like that.
Last 3.
You got
tweets.
2 more. He's got more.
The establishment can shut things down they don't like. Why don't we? I like that.
Exactly.
I like
Fuck
that.
Yeah.
I like that.
If we don't get it,
shut it down.
If we don't get it,
shut it down.
If we don't get it,
shut it down.
Caitlin Johnstone, Lessons from Wall Street. Myth, the rich compete with each other and ordinary people benefit from it. Reality, the rich collaborate with each other against ordinary people.
True.
So she wrote a Substack article there.
Check it out.
And then Ben Askren, I'm so in on Wall Street versus regular people. Let's wreck these rich assholes.
Ben Askren, my man.
Yeah, fellow Rokfin contributor.
Loving Rock. He's on Rokfin. Get over to Rokfin. ROKFIN. That's it. Let's read some super chats. Get it, guys. Thank you so much for joining. David left the super.
Frank. Yeah.
You want to get him in right now? Let's bring him in early. I'm gonna read some super chats while you're getting them together. David left that super sticker. Trey Wright, thank you for the super chat contribution. Is always appreciated on the couch. The Dive with Jackson Hinkle, who will be on next Wednesday on the show. We love you, Jackson.
Eat the rich.
Hashtag eat the rich. Reeve Barker, what's up, Reeve? Fredo's interview with Robinhood CEO was actually very good. By Cuomo. We even said Fredo was on the right side this time. I always question why they're allowing him to do this. Like he was one of the only ones. But he was on the right-hand side saying it looks like, well, he pointed out to a bunch of viewers out there. He says, well, you stopped the buying, but you allowed the selling going on. What's up with that? So he called them on the right there on the spot, and the guy really didn't have a good answer. Ona Kakala Ono. Aloha to you both. Keep dismantling the oligarchy machine. Thank you, Ono. Jim Garrison, we know him, the great lawyer. What capitalist planet does this tool live on?
This cartoon.
This cartoon. Benny Massimo. Benny Massimo. Thank you for the super chat contribution. We have Theo Chino. Thank you so much. There are 2 protests on Sunday, 1:31, noon at the corner of Wall Street and Broadway behind the New York Stock Exchange building. Have fun if you're in that area. We've been asking for transparency. Please broadcast. And he gave us the link. Theo, we'll see what we can do. That's going to be interesting because I heard they were going to show up in front of that dude's house from Robinhood. David, again, thank you for the super chat contribution. Cultural hegemony. Gramsci explains false ideologies of identity politics, distraction by the elites. And they did, fam. They started going after these guys, calling them alt-rights, trying to demean the guys.
They use the same tactics
guys.
the neoliberals use, you guys. That's why you don't do that.
Yes.
Like,
Kiska City. Thank you for the super chat contribution. It's always appreciated on the couch. And Steve Woolbrandt, he's only speaking the truth. Best show ever. We love you, fam. Steve Woolbrandt, a fan of the show. Let's get on over to the Rokfin for the super raise really quick. There's 36 watching over there. Guys, we'd love to get to 50 today. We have 95 subscribers. We got a couple days left of January. If we can get 5 more subscribers and get to 100 and you help us out, that would be great if you can afford it. If you can't, don't worry about it. We love you anyways. Just to read the super raise, Real Progressives, much love, guys. Keep up the good work. If that's from Grumbine, we love you, or anybody else from the Real Progressives, thank you so much. Hopefully, Steve Grumbine. MMA, learn your MMA. Molly Magnuson, we love Molly Magnuson. Thank you for the super rate. MMT. What did I say?
You said MMA.
Learn your MMA and learn your MMT. We got Ben Askren and we got Steve Grumbine. Patrick S., thank you for the Super Ray contribution. It's always appreciated on the couch. And then Cultist Demon. I hope right-wing libertarians and ANCAPs will take notice and see that this is how capitalism really works. Well, they're going to say it's crony capitalism, fam. That's what they always do.
But that's fine. Fine, we can argue that. But as I said, it ends up happening all over again, no matter how much regulation you put in. This is why I'm not a capitalist.
This is why I'm a leftist libertarian and not a right-wing libertarian, because I'm not going to let the market do what it wants to do. But once again, these rules are for the little people, he puts. The ruling class breaks their own rules all the time. They are smart enough to cheat at their own game, and that's true. They just did. They know capitalism would destroy itself without gaming, tweaking, selected regulation, and cheating. It would destroy itself, and they have socialism because they keep bailing themselves out. Cultist Demon also says the Reddit GameStop affair is kind of like what happened in the film Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, except they defeated an insider trading scam by short selling. This is a great progressive film from the 1980s. It is an awesome film. Eddie Murphy, did some good movies. He also did the Distinguished Gentleman. We'll watch that as well. We got 2 Eddie Murphy movies, fam. The Convo Couch received a tip from Revolutionary Koala. Thank you so much for the Super Ray. And there are 42 people watching. We need 8 more. Let's bring on our guest. You know his name. He's the best out there. He's a big fan of George Michael's and Wham. Frank Analysis is here with us. How you doing, Frank?
What's up? How are you guys doing? Great to be here.
Thank you for being here.
I don't know who that guy is.
I know.
You don't know who Wham is?
You don't know who George Michael is?
Come on. What the hell? How old are you?
Wake me up before you go. So usually I tell these jokes with boomers or Generation X's. I forgot. I got a Z. What do you call them?
Gen Z?
Gen Z?
Are you Gen Z?
I'm not Gen Z. I guess I'm at the cusp. I'm from 1993. So I think after 96, you're a Zoomer, if I'm not mistaken.
You're millennial, but you're like almost a Zoomer.
Yeah,
you're like Johnny.
I graduated high school in 91. Jesus Christmas.
Johnny's right at the cusp, right? He's like
94. He's 94.
Yeah, we call him Johnny Cusp. Well, let's get into it. He's going to be our co-host today. Frank Analysis, thank you so much. It was great seeing you at the Force the Vote event in Washington, D.C. We all spoke. We went over to the Assange event. So we got to meet the man in person. Thank you for joining us, man. You've been on fire lately. Your show, Frank Analysis, has been awesome. I like the idea of you bringing in educated people and fans of the show and getting their analysis. It's been very intriguing watching your shows of late. And I don't know what it is, buddy, but you got a way of tickling those people up above you to come down and get mad at you with your tweets. Even when Max Blumenthal met you and we were standing right there in Action for Assange in front of the State Department, he goes, "Wow, Frank, you got a way of really pissing some people off." So I think it's kind of great that you've been able to tap in there and get those people like Mickey Kantz and other people like Jordan to get mad and attack you.
Yeah, Anna. Oh God.
I've seen Jank respond to random people though, but if they're responding because they feel guilty because people are calling them out for their bullshit.
Yeah. So we're gonna go right to section 3 then. We're gonna skip over section 2.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll
do
go back to it.
All right, so we'll go over to section 3 right now, and we're gonna talk about your favorite person in politics, Frank. AOC.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not your fave.
So Frank, I don't know if I'm going crazy, but because all these people on the whatever, the boutique left or the Sam Cedar left, they're all saying like, we criticize AOC too much. Like she can never do any right by us, and like that, we're wrong, that she's an ally, right? That she's here for us, and that she's doing what she can within a very corrupt system. This is what they're saying, and like they're like, you can't, AOC goes to a union protest and you guys tear her down. She just doesn't do anything wrong, and they're saying we're mocking her situation where she feels like her life was threatened, right? And I did laugh at several points because either I'm crazy or she's being really disingenuous, and I just don't know. I asked them like, am I crazy, because she seems extremely disingenuous. So she had a date with MSNBC, and she went on and she did this whole video and she said Biden had a good faith openness and relationship to activist community, saying we are not going to be resistant to grassroots movement, but we're going to collaborate with grassroots movements to create as many jobs and as much justice as possible. So she's over here on MSNBC pretty much carrying water for Joe Biden administration and how he is doing operating with good faith, openness, and a relationship with activist communities. I just want to know, do you feel like Joe Biden has been doing any of that? What are your thoughts on her doing this on mainstream media?
So that was absolute gaslighting nonsense. Like she is saying that about the guy who said that he will not ban fracking. And then he said, I'll repeat that, I will not ban fracking. Joe Biden is not even for the Green New Deal, and that doesn't even ban fracking. So let's talk about the part which AOC said that we are going to work with grassroots movements and activist communities. Joe Biden put Cedric Richmond as the director of public engagement, a man who received roughly $341,000 from donors in the oil and gas industry, the 5th highest total among House Democrats. This is according to an article by Sludge. So if we are trying to mitigate climate change with the aid of activist groups, how is having a man like that, who is going to be in charge of interacting with interest groups, going to help us mitigate climate change, if that completely conflates with the interests of his donors in the oil and gas industry? And then we also have John Kerry. John Kerry, who Joe Biden put as the special presidential envoy for climate. John Kerry thinks that we can combat climate change by increasing military tensions with China and Russia. So I was reading an article a couple weeks back by Mint Press News by Alan McLeod, which talks about John Kerry talking to this Washington think tank called the American Security Project, ASP. And then he said that the 3 priorities as Biden's right-hand man is to have, number 1, have a huge rebuilding of the United States military bases across the world. Number 2, countering China in the Pacific. Number 3, preparing for a war with Russia in the newly melted Arctic. So it makes absolutely no sense to me. And Biden having these picks who will serve the military industrial complex, who are the top contributors to climate change and environmental destruction, and fossil fuel companies, that tells me he's not serious about mitigating climate change or working with activists. So AOC is covering for him. Therefore, she is covering for corporations because that's who Joe Biden represents. And that's who his administration represents.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate here, and I want your two opinions on this, guys. What do you say to the people that say, no, AOC is doing what she can. She's going to reach for the stars, and she's going to settle for incrementalism, thinking that she'll get something from Joe Biden, that she honestly believes that she's acting in good faith because she believes that she can work more with Biden rather than Trump, who is a complete fascist. I mean, is there any sense of like maybe she's trying to be genuine and trying to get something done, or you guys believe it's completely just an act?
Go ahead, Frank.
I would say it's just an act. Like she wants to network with people in her party. She wants these like committee positions. But I mean, when has incrementalism ever worked? It doesn't work for us. It works for the rich elite who pay these politicians.
Right.
We get incrementalism in the other direction.
I think we're at a breaking point right now where I mean, we were in a pandemic, whether, you think it was pandemic worthy or not. The economy shut down. It still is shut down in many large sectors. We're still not completely running. We have people who haven't paid rent. We have people who are completely unemployed, who lost their health insurance. So we have more uninsured people, more homeless people, more poor people. And then you have this happen in the market where you have Wall Street speculation happening again, and the elites being able to change and manipulate the market to uphold them, to benefit them. And the little people get screwed again. So you're seeing in real time the decline and fall of an empire. And if I considered myself a socialist, like AOC considered herself a socialist, and I was a congresswoman, I would use right now the anger, not in a very manipulative way, but in a real way, the anger of the people of the working class who are seeing these manipulations and this very just lack of care for basic human rights, this disdain for the working people of America. They know that they can get away with this because they've gotten away with it before, and they have been rewarded dutifully for being corrupt. And so if I were her, what I would be doing right now is organizing a mass general strike to bring back Glass-Steagall, to literally overturn Citizens United, to say go $2,000 in every home right now for the next year. I would go and say Medicare for all right now. We're gonna stop this economy just like we were holding our stocks. We're gonna stop this economy. We're gonna shut everything down, and we're gonna do this together. Me and the squad. We're gonna help you guys. We're going to provide through mutual aid, all of these things that are very socialist that could be done. She is not doing them. Instead, she is appearing on highly, highly paid MSNBC, CNN, propaganda, state media machine, and carrying water for Joe Biden and the Biden administration. And if she ever has the opportunity to do something like worthwhile, like maybe speak out for a union to offer $1 of a raise, she does that. But then the next day, she's on Teen Vogue. And it's a photo op, and it's a wonderful opportunity. So, no, I don't think this is genuine. I think she is carrying water for the establishment, and I don't think she has to do this at all.
That fee rant brought to you by Bitcoin. Buy now. Listen, for the record, guys, I want to be clear here, Frank Fee. I think she's full of shit, right? I really do. I was playing devil's advocate there, but really, if she was for real, she would use her 12.1 million Twitter followers to get people in the street to put pressure on the things we want, like Medicare for all, which she ran on and whatnot. But, I mean, there are people also, too, as well, and I think we were talking about, she screams into the air. That's what bothers me, like the whole CARES Act. Right. She just screams into the air. Now, this here is about Robinhood, the next tweet, right? We need to know more about Robinhood's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock while hedge funds are freely able to trade the stock as they see fit. As a member of the Financial Services Committee, I'm supporting a hearing if necessary. She's not calling out Janet Yellen. She's not calling out the connections. She never calls out her own party. She never calls out anybody who gets in the way of what's going on. Yeah. So that's why I think she's just full of crap when she screams into the air. But, guys, there are people out there who are saying she's just playing ball now until she gets the power eventually, weathers the storm, and then she takes over the party. Is there any thought process to that, Frank?
So what happened after that tweet?
Exactly.
Wasn't there somebody who agreed with her?
Yeah, so Ted Cruz agreed with her, Frank.
The other party?
Yeah, so Ted Cruz agrees with her, and then he says fully agree, and then she goes on and distracts from the issue, okay, because now the issue, now we're talking about speculation and the little guy getting stomped on. And when he says, I agree, she says, I am happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground. But you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago. So you can sit this one out. Happy to work with almost any other GOP that aren't trying to get me killed. In the meantime, if you want to help, you can resign. And so now we're not talking about Wall Street speculation on the little guy. Now we're talking about AOC and woe is me, how she accuses Cruz, and I don't like Cruz, by the way, not even a little bit. She accuses him hyperbolically of getting her killed. There is like literally no proof of him trying to do that. I'm just going based on the facts here, not because I like him at all. And it's crazy to me, Frank. What do you think about her reaction?
The partisan theatrics just can't stop for AOC. I mean, what a distraction to the important issues that need attention by going back to the stupid narrative that the problem is just the crazy Republicans who are apparently, according to her, responsible for the Capitol storming. And it certainly wasn't because of a lack of transparency in our election. And it certainly wasn't because like our government isn't helping us during a pandemic or in general for that matter. Instead, she's going back into these partisan theatrics to distract people from these major issues. So if Ted Cruz had a D next to his name instead of an R, she would be loving all his tweets. She would have been loving that tweet in which he was agreeing with her, right. Because I mean he's for war just like Joe Biden is. He's a pro fracker just like Joe Biden. It's like he's a corporate prostitute just like Joe Biden is. But AOC is just serving the Democrats by having us get distracted in these partisan theatrics, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
She's the great distractor, is what I call her. I mean, she's the great distractor. Anything that's going on right now, nobody's talking about anything what's going on with foreign policy right now with these Democrats. They're just confirming all these people, letting them get in, whether it be Lloyd Austin, whether it be Blinken, all this shit. This is a great meme over here too, and it's this whole it's the OMG kind of mentality right now, where a lot of young people who are involved in politics, I think they really buy into it. Like, oh my God, she was really almost murdered. You know what I'm saying? So here's Caitlin Johnstone with a meme. It's just. Can you see that, Frank?
Yeah, I saw that. That
okay,
funny.
so yeah. I just want to comment on this, okay? Because she got a lot of pushback because of this meme. Nobody is saying they want AOC getting hurt. Like, first of all, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the show. We in no way, shape, or form are claiming that we wanted her or anybody to actually get hurt, even though they are screwing the American people continuously off of from anything that's a basic normal human right that exists in every other country. Let's put that aside. Nobody here is saying they should have been mobbed or lynched or any of that, okay? But when you are melodramatic, this reminded me, her reaction, and I forgot to say, reminded me of, Frank, I don't know if you've seen telenovelas, but, you know, especially the Mexican ones where the actress is like, like, oh my God, like, Dios mío, like Maria Teresa or whatever the hell it's called. Like, it's insane. Trust me, I've watched enough soap operas to know.
The novellas are great.
I mean, she could be a great telenovela actress. I'm telling you,
hey,
put her in.
Maybe that's where her career should have been.
Yeah, with the music. With the music, close up on the face and stuff. This all she does, listen, she is the most dangerous person right now in Congress because she has such a huge following.
Get so much pushback for that.
I mean, no, she's one of the most dangerous person in Congress right now because she is a great distraction. She never calls out a party for anything, and she puts people's minds where it doesn't need to be. I mean, we're not talking about anything of importance because AOC keeps distracting.
Why
aren't
you worried about Mitch McConnell, Pasta? Why are you
I can't stand those guys too.
Why are you attacking the woman
because she was given this so much power, and her whole job was to fight against the establishment. That's why we put her there. And now she's just simply providing cover for them. She provides more cover for the establishment than anybody out there right now. AOC.
So, Pasta and Fee, would you guys say that this is an insult to countries that actually have had like a violent coup in their country, like in Chile in the 70s, like in Indonesia, like all these other countries that the U.S. has intervened in violently, assassinating leaders, and innocent people falling victim to that as well? Like, wouldn't you say that that's kind of insulting?
It's beyond insulting.
It's insulting.
Yeah. When did Congress members become like an untouchable person in society and stuff? They're supposed to be out there fighting for the little guy and stuff like that. They're supposed to put their lives on the line and everything from scrutiny from people in the government, from citizens who don't agree with them. Since when are they now like just higher than ever? And then people just praise them. I was almost murdered. Oh my God! And people are like, "Oh, OMG, are you okay?" Since when did this happen?
I was almost murdered, but I pushed the CARES Act, which literally had so much money over there for our military industrial complex and the militarism and imperialism that we're pushing on everybody. Now we're sanctioning, we're droning, we're going to continue to up that tenfold, but we never talk about these things. This is what I get so angry about the American exceptionalism of, oh my God, this was an insurrection. You guys wouldn't know an insurrection if it hit you, because this is what we actually overthrow and coup and bomb everybody all over the world, and literally our imperialism is beyond racist. But then you have these woke fake leftists who say, oh my God, I can't believe I had to vote for Joe Biden because I wanted to mitigate damage, or oh, I had to do this because I care about people of color. You don't understand what it's like to live in a country in the global south that suffers from U.S. imperialism, that the populations fight amongst each other, and these countries can't get their shit together because the boot of the American the American just foreign policy, the war machine is always there trying to put in whoever they want, and if they don't, they screw that country. That country is forced to, like Venezuela, to enact a more anti-American policy because we try to get in there, and then they still are able to provide to their people far better conditions during a pandemic than we are to our people. Like, it's a joke.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to the caucus leadership. Go ahead, Frank.
Speaking of deferring the caucus, she was talking about Venezuela, and Antony Blinken and Joe Biden are now recognizing Juan Guaido as the leader there.
Oh yeah.
And then there was like a video of her recently where she was like cutting up vegetables, like saying like that they don't have democracy in Venezuela.
Yeah. She's just ridiculous, and she's pandering to not only the establishment and the war machine, she's pandering to certain constituents in her district too. That's as well.
Hilarious.
And who she was supposed to be like, we all expected her to be like Shama Swan, right? This is the person that and Fee, you put this in the folder, I'm assuming, right? This is a great video right here. Listen to this real quick.
Yeah. So let's just listen to it. Basically, Shama is a city councilwoman in Seattle. They're trying to get rid of her. I'm gonna look more into that. We'll see if we can get her on. But they're basically trying to get rid of her. She's really effective. She is not a Democrat.
Yeah.
She
understands on taking on power.
Yeah, of socialist alternatives.
Socialist alternatives are better, right?
Yeah.
The party's leadership is not on the side of working people. So yes, you are going to be in conflict with them. There is no space, there's no universe where you can be at peace with the power brokers of the establishment and yet win victories for working people. Such a thing is not going to happen. If you want to win victories for working people, you are going to have to take on that conflict. As long as our leaders on the left believe that it is about parliamentary arithmetic and insider tactics, it is going to be a death knell for the movement. We are not going to win Medicare for all by an insider strategy where you think your political capital depends on whether or not Nancy Pelosi is happy with you. Well, Nancy Pelosi is never going to be happy with you if you're going to fight for working people, because Nancy Pelosi is not on the side of working people. It's as simple as that.
Awesome, fam.
She's basically making an argument for force the vote. She's making an argument that AOC is more concerned with making sure she's okay with Pelosi than she is on challenging her. And that's the thing. You're never going to you can't say you're fighting for working people if you don't challenge the people blocking legislation from becoming a reality for working people. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And where's she been on AOC? Where's AOC been on Assange? We were together at the Assange action for Assange. Where's she been? Nowhere. Zero, zip, zilch. We put up a tweet from Jesse Zerwell, friend of the show. AOC, Assange omitted constantly. You know what I'm saying? Constant.
That was a good one.
So, I mean,
Frank, how do you feel about, people who think that, because there's still plenty of people on the respectable people, I will say, on the progressive end, who think that reforming the Democratic Party, continuing to run candidates under the Democratic Party is still a viable tactic. What do you think about that tactic? Do you still think like it's possible? Like we should even pay enough attention to it?
I think that we need to be telling these people, I mean, look, what is she actually doing systemically to change things? Like we don't do this because we want to like fight with you. We're trying to inform you about the ineffectiveness of AOC and the squad. Like they're now like they're more productive in making the Democratic Party look good than actually helping the working class people. Like we want to help people realize that. Like we're not just doing this because we have a hate for AOC. No, we're doing this because we want to wake you up and to take action instead of sitting down, like sitting on your couch or sitting like in your chair while like hoping that these politicians are going to do the work for you. They're not going to do the work for you. Like you have to apply pressure. Otherwise they're not going to feel it. And AOC and the squad, they're going to feel like they don't have to do anything. Like people are loving them on Twitter. So they're like, oh, I guess I'm doing a good job because people are praising me. You have to actually apply pressure to make them feel the urgency that our country is actually facing right now.
Yeah. And, the fact is that we've talked about it often on the show, the Freedom Caucus that went in there. They weren't establishment Republicans. They were more that Tea Party mentality, but they made what was his name? Cry.
Boehner.
Jeff, is it Jim Boehner or I can't John Boehner, I believe it was.
John Boehner.
He cried because they were like, and we were expecting these squad members, these progressives, to go in there and do the same thing. Make Nancy Pelosi cry and quit because you won't give her away. But she doesn't. And just the other day, Blinken, once again, this guy is the biggest warmonger out there. He now got confirmed. And somebody's calling him out. Here's Tulsi. It's not surprising that the Senate approved Blinken as Secretary of State. After all, he is a warmonger, as are most of the senators in both parties.
I mean,
now she's out of office, but wow.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. I mean, she flat out called him a warmonger. I mean, that's savage. She's out of office, and like I said many times, I don't agree with Tulsi when she says on everything. I politically, she's to the right for me, but at the same time, she's the only one talking about a free press. She's the only one talking about mass surveillance. She's the only one that was talking about the election. She has multiple election bills that these people weren't paying attention to before this election even. And so I just think, to me, like, why is nobody, now that she's gone, there's not a single Democrat that's talking about Julian Assange, the Espionage Act, any of this stuff. It's really sad.
I wish more politicians would accurately call Anthony Blinken and Avril Haines and all these other people in Joe Biden's administration now, like what they actually are, which is warmongers. But they're not going to do it because I guess it's impolite. Like Anthony Blinken helped lead the U.S. into the Iraq war. This is a man who supports the apartheid state of Israel, and he wants Palestinian leaders to not only recognize it as a state, which they already did, but to recognize it as a Jewish state, which would further take away more power from Palestinians. I mean, this is a guy who, along with Biden, again, recognizes Juan Guaido as the leader of Venezuela, which is completely undemocratic and imperialistic because Maduro was democratically elected. People didn't want Guaido. Nobody even knew who the guy was. He's a loser. And then when he came back from the US, when he was in the airport in Caracas, people were throwing water at him. People don't like this guy. Then so AOC, by not calling out Blinken as either she either lacks knowledge or she's unprincipled. I think that she's just unprincipled because I think she knows this information. But she's a partisan hack. She cares more about her career and networking with these evil people than she cares about actually fighting these evil corporatists for the working class people.
And right now, I just put this up here too as well. We're talking about Blinken, also pro-Syria, Yemen, the whole 9 yards. There wasn't a war that this guy didn't like. In fact, he was mad that Biden wasn't enthused enough about going into Syria full-fledged. But right now, even still, now that he's become Secretary of State, he says the U.S. is deeply concerned about Navalny reviewing response to Russian actors. And they talked about as far as maybe even going in sanctioning Russia over these actions right here, right? Now, this guy's an ultra nationalist, right? He called the people in the Caucasus region cockroaches and stuff. Where's AOC right there? Where's she out there protecting, people with the identity politics now? Where she's nowhere to be found. She's not even talking about this. Why isn't anybody concerned the fact that we're saber rattling with Russia again right out the gate? Does anybody want to say anything about that? Nowhere to be found, AOC. Also, too, as well, Biden has been flexing his military muscle since he's got in there. Biden sends B-52 bomber over Persian Gulf after missile fired on Riyadh. Now, since he's been in office, they've been doing this too as well. So there's been no backup from what's going on. So where's the change at foreign policy-wise? Where are we mitigating damage by putting Biden into play? He's still flexing his muscle, and nobody's saying nothing about this. The squad hasn't said one word about any of these cabinet picks, whether it be Blinken, whether it be Lloyd Austin, whether it be Avril, whether it be any of these people.
Right.
Even Victoria Nuland is coming back into play, and they haven't said shit. Instead, they want to talk about you almost got me killed on the Capitol.
Right, because if they didn't talk about that, then they would have to say, oh yeah, we're not going to oppose any of this because we have to be loyal to the Democratic Party, because we have to make sure they raise enough funds, and we have to make sure to not elect any more Republicans in the midterms. So their whole game is always going to be put party first before people. Yeah. And that's the problem. It's like once you go in there, they say, no, in order to be part of this club, you have to have loyalty to the party first. It doesn't matter what your constituents want. You're gonna be loyal to the party first. And if you drift away from that, you're gonna be punished. And so what do? They bow down and they do what the party wants them to do. And so this is why you do not go and continue electing progressives to go into this party. And people are like, well, they won. No, wait till 2022. You're gonna see Republicans take over, unless there's some massive election shenanigans. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which
is possible.
It is possible, but like. I just do like this is insane. I mean, they think that they can continue to do this, and people are just going to continue not paying attention, and I don't see that happening anymore.
And Frank, here's the big one too as well. I want you to get your reactions on this because we all met at the Force to Vote, right? We all went out there to fight for Medicare for all. It's what these progressives campaigned on. It's what they all got elected on. Here's one of the biggest last kicks in the teeth from the executive order frenzy that Biden's been going on. President Biden signs executive order with focus on restoring the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. That means there is no talk. They're going to shelve any talk about Medicare, healthcare whatsoever. It's getting put in the work. You're not getting Medicare for all. All you get is the Affordable Care Act. You have to get back on your insurance. Take it. It's in your face, and nobody says any. Why hasn't AOC or the squad or anybody who's for Medicare for all say anything about this? Because this essentially means that all you're getting is the Affordable Care Act under Biden. You're not getting Medicare for all. And where is she at on this? Silent. Go ahead, Frank.
And where is like half of independent progressive YouTube pressuring AOC to say something? Like I thought, like all these people that were against Forced to Vote, because there was going to be like a better alternative in their minds, like that we shouldn't be pressuring AOC to be for Forced to Vote. Okay, what is she doing then? Like she already voted for Nancy Pelosi. All right, now what is she going to do? She's going to let this pass? This reminds me of what she said a couple months ago, where she was like, oh, if we get the public option, then so be it. Like that tells me that she doesn't feel the urgency. And that's why it's so important for people, and especially people with platforms like you guys, which I'm really happy that you put pressure on these politicians, is to raise awareness and to make these politicians feel the urgency. There's so many Americans that are suffering right now from lack of healthcare, and then this is the BS that we get under the lesser evil, Joe Biden.
Yeah. The lesser of two evils. This is mitigating damage.
And just the worst part about the ACA is that if you had a Republican in there, you have more of the progressives being angry. It's a Republican. Let's fight for healthcare. Da 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 da. Now with the ACA, they're going to say, well, maybe we can get Joe Biden to listen to Bernie's Medicare for all during the pandemic thing. By the time they even say, let's say they even do that, because they won't. The pandemic will be over, and then you don't get it anyway. So what? Yeah. I mean, this has already been happening for a year almost. And they haven't given you health care. At this point, we need like medical debt forgiveness for the money some of these people are in debt for. We need, like, at the very least, insulin. What Biden did with the insulin. I mean, why is nobody talking about that? Why are they, like, so silent on this? Oh, well, you know, it wasn't going to do it wasn't helping people anyway. Yes, it was. Getting cheap insulin is helping people no matter how you twist it, no matter how you want to say Trump did this and that. It doesn't matter. Like, the fact is they are denying you health care during a fucking pandemic, and the woman and the squad who ran on Medicare for All, who have masks and T-shirts that say Medicare for All, literally, and who make money off of that merch, are not pushing for Medicare for All, including Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
Who have changed their language around Medicare. They don't even say Medicare for All. They'll say things like access to health care, the things that we criticize. Warren, Harris, Cory Booker, all these people. And the things Tulsi got criticized for when she changed the name to whatever, I think it was something
Single
choice
payer
or something.
plus. But originally they were giving her crap because she was saying Medicare Choice, and they're like, "Oh, it's Pete Buttigieg's plan." But then she changed to Single Payer Plus.
Yeah,
but yeah.
and
Now that AOC saying like access to healthcare, like,
they're
that is a very dangerous word to use.
Yeah, a lot worse than choice. And let's not also forget that Joe Biden gave subsidies, and Fred Edward mentioned it out, to Cobra. He gave to the highest paid insurance out there. He's like, oh, here's subsidies. He gave federal tax dollars to Cobra to keep them afloat. Please. Let me read some super chats because there are some stuff in here that's involved and maybe talking about the subject. Frank, stay with us. How long before these sore losers on Wall Street start labeling Wall Street bets as economic terrorists? You know who the economic terrorists are? The hedge funds, the regulators, these are the economic terrorists. What they're doing, pulling the plugs on the little guys. River Sticks, thank you for the super chat contribution. Look at the number there, $6.66. You evil person, River.
Yeah, I got
6 is my lucky number.
Is Deb Haaland better than Dave Bernhardt for Secretary of Interior? We should do some looking into that. We'll take a look and see. I don't want to make any opinions right now because I haven't done the research on it. Benny Massimo, AOC ran on Medicare for All. She's openly concerned with her brand and dreams of being the next Obama, if that's a good thing. It's an awful thing, Benny. Fee, the reason AOC is a severe threat is she ran on Medicare for All, ate progressives' messages, and was in it for personal fame and fortune. She wasn't in it for the people, is what Benny is saying. And by the way, we have over 50 people on the Rokfin. We have 53 people on Rokfin. See what happens when you come on the show, Frank. You help us out. Frank is now on Rokfin, so check him out over there. Cultist Damon. I think AOC and charlatans like her were carefully vetted long before they ever ran for office. And there's a lot of talk about that, cultist. Were they hand-chosen? Why did they let her beat the number 2 Democrat in office? And there was a lot of talk that he had his little Me Too scandal going on, so he had to be removed. So they carefully removed her and put somebody in their place that they could control. That's the talk, the scuttlebutt behind the scenes, but I don't want to get tagged for saying so. But, it's awfully suspicious, blah, 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 the way she is acting, when we see this. Frank, tell us about Nick Brana, summer of 1970. Go ahead, Nick.
Summer of
Frank.
1970.
Frank.
Nick Brana. Well, is he asking that because of the video from yesterday? I had Steve and Ed come on my show to talk about the history that they had with them.
Oh, okay.
So Ed was upset Ed, DJ L7, I don't know if he's in the chat right now, but shout out to him.
Elf?
He was a volunteer for Movement for a People's Party, and he wanted there to be more recognition about Assange. And they just didn't want to do it, and they kicked him out of MPP. And there's a whole bunch of other issues that happened, and there's like 100 people that left MPP for similar reasons. And then Steve Poikonen also has a history with Nick Brana, and he was telling us yesterday that almost everybody that he knows that knew Nick Brana and that left MPP left not trusting him and figured he was inept. So the reason why I did that, why I had Steve and Ed talk about their experiences, is so that people don't feel like they're wasting their energy on something that's going to inevitably fail, and that we need to try other strategies than a party that is not doing enough to actually create the change that we need.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about as far as their messaging right away? Because a lot of people say they seem like a Bernie Sanders kind of part two Democratic light
I
organization. I really don't have a big opinion about that right now. I'd like to see more foreign policy. I'd like to see get more in elections, but your thoughts?
We definitely need a third party that represents us, but are they strong enough to do it? Like, in order to do that, we need to unite people who are libertarian, people who are in the Green Party, people who want to leave the Democratic and Republican Party. And what it seems like is that it's just a party that's filled with people who used to support Bernie, and not enough people who are like libertarian. Like they're not doing enough to integrate that. Like, why couldn't they get somebody like a Ron Paul or Rand Paul to get like that faction? Why couldn't they talk to the Green Party or Libertarian Party to join them so that we can have an actual like huge movement? But they're not doing enough with ballot access either. So it's a lot of things to be concerned about. Like, we definitely need a third party, but is this strong enough to actually do it?
So to me, the issue beyond parties is that we need to tackle why parties don't have any power. And the reason parties don't have power is because the system is set up that way. It's set up to only allow the duopoly to have power, which is why you see people saying, yeah, well, I can't, third parties, yeah, someday, but not now, because you're going to lose anyway, the way the system is set up. And they're right, you are going to lose, because we don't have democracy in our elections. And on top of not having a transparent election system, we also don't have ranked choice voting, which would allow the third party to have an even platform to be able to actually compete with the Democratic and Republican parties. I think that the left needs to build a movement outside, beyond party lines, to get together with some people from the Libertarian Party, some people from the Green, Socialist, and needs to come together to actually demand things. And then that will itself formulate into multiple parties, perhaps. I don't think you're going to get all of the left to agree on one party, but they do need to come together to demand actual fairness, for actual to have an ability to actually for these parties to compete in, because that doesn't exist. So whether you have the Movement for a People's Party or the Green Party, they're going to run into the same thing. They're not going to have enough ballot access across all these states. They're going to divide their support, some on the Green and some on the Independent and some on the Libertarian and some on, and then that you're just fracturing that. There should be a strategy to bring people together. And but right now the left, of course, is easy. Too busy infighting. I don't think the MPP people and the Green people should be fighting. I think they're more on the same page than, say, the people who want to reform the Democratic Party. Those people are not on the same page as us. They want people to go back into the Democratic Party. And by infighting, by these third party cadres infighting, what it does, it's push people away and say, well, they're not serious, so I'm just going to vote Democrat. This is why I am yelling at everybody, whether you're MPP, whether you're Green. We need to have a fucking conversation, because this is their Democratic Party is going to run some fake progressive again, and they're going to lose, and it's the same thing's going to happen in 2024.
And the message should be, let's put aside our differences and focus on taking down this duopoly, which is really a monopoly.
Yep.
Like, that should be the message. And then it can be like, after we take them down, after we come into power, then let's talk about having even more parties that better represent your interests. But right now, let's have a government that actually represents us. Let's unite for that. And another thing that I forgot to mention is that there's not enough collaboration with activist groups with MPP. Nick Rana had to be forced to have a committee of organizers.
Yeah, it's funny because that's what I asked him when we were there. You were with me. You saw it, right?
Yeah.
And I asked him. I said, "What about your work with activists? You seem to lack a lot of connections with activists that are on the street, people boots on the ground that can actually go out there, get signatures, whatnot." He didn't really step around the question. He thought he did have some activists around. He said Medea Benjamin, but we're talking about like the people that we know, these activists that Fiorella talks to on a regular basis across the country. Like, for me, I would have liked to seen him go and talk. Melissa Michelson was there. Like, go talk to her. She's got emails full of people right there who are they're politically homeless and are looking for a home. These are the people you got to connect with, but who knows? Maybe they're going to try to do it online where they have a big presence. They can show that and maybe get a lot of people to go over there and vote for them. I don't know if that will work. I would always think you need the activist involved, but we'll see. It's a new day. But I think you also brought up a fair criticism too as well. The fact that he didn't reach out to MPP has not reached out to libertarians or Green parties. We see all these people who were like, pro Bernie, Nina Turner, Cornel West, and whatnot, and they come around. But where is the reach out to the libertarians? Where is the reach out to people who care about our civil liberties?
The closest that they got was having Jesse Ventura on. But then that was thanks to the help of the Draft Jesse movement. But then after that, Richard Idris, my friend who was in the Draft Jesse movement, said that Nick Brana never returned their emails after that.
I know. That's Dick Idris. I know Dick Idris.
Yeah, another Dick. Dick Medhurst, Dick Idris.
We got a lot of strong dicks in this movement, by the way.
I mean, they have the recognition of independent media. Like they have the recognition of like Jimmy, like Graham. They're all supporting that. But we need the on-the-ground collaboration with activist groups.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%. That's a fair criticism, and that's the criticism these Dem stock apologists for the Democratic Party are using against them, and one they can actually use against them. Genuinely, because when you don't have the organizers that you should have on the ground, and that was always one of my criticisms about MPP, because a lot of my organizer friends are not fond of them, so they don't trust them. So like, no matter how much I said, about MPP and this and that, they're like, yeah, but who are the organizers that are part of their campaign? Because I only see media personalities. That is a fair criticism that they should actually work to fix, to listen to these people as to
more
why
organizers,
they're not having more organizers.
More activists. And it takes thick skin, because there can be a lot of people out there that have a lot of opinion. You got to, it takes a person who's going to be willing to get in there and work with these people, talk to different people, different opinions, and get them to work together. So that is the question for the future. Will they be able to do that? Will they get more organizers involved?
I mean, I want people to succeed, I want us to stop. I want people to stop running to the Democratic Party, but you have to show people that you're serious about actually doing that.
Yeah. Super chat contribution from the Lone Wolf podcast. He goes, "This was predictable of the Democrats. Biden promises a public option that doesn't provide it." Remember, we was talking about this, like whether we liked it or not. Oh, he's coming around. He's for a public option now, because Obama was like, no way we're going to let a public option get in there. Dennis Kucinich was putting his foot down. He had to take him up Air Force One, fly him around. He still didn't concede, so Dennis Kucinich went away after he got redistricted. Dems also promised 2,000 checks. Now it's 1,400 by March. So wait for all of February, plebs. Starve if you have to. I don't care. Maybe in March we'll give you 1,400. I bet it's going to be lower than that. I bet it's going to be $800, so it will be $1,200 total. That's my guess. Dems say they will also raise the minimum wage, but guess what, fam? It will be raised to $15 an hour by 2025. How you like that?
It's insane.
Super chat contribution also from a shadow banned refugee. Myself, am the only person allowed to do 666 super chats. I put a C, the copyright sign on it. I'm here to simp and file copyright suits.
I'm with it.
Go ahead, shadow banned refugee. Lucio Zago. If you haven't seen his work, please go check it out. The Unbought, right? Is it the Unbought, Johnny?
Unsold.
The Unsold, the Unbought. The Unsold. Great stuff. They have a fee hero, which she throws somebody out of the window. Excellent show as always. Thank you, fam. Thank you, Lucio. We love your work. I can't wait to get your Fred Hampton up. One of my favorite pieces, The Big Sleep by Obama. He's sitting there reading a book in a big chair, and all the activists and the organizers went to sleep. That's what they do. Just like when we heard, I think it's a breath of fresh air now that Lloyd Austin is our Secretary of Defense, fam. Isn't that great?
It was mostly people, not as many, because the BLM movement and Occupy Wall Street did come out during the Obama years.
Yeah,
so,
but where's Occupy Wall Street now? That's the question.
Well, that's the thing, the problem with movements.
The Lone Wolf Wolf podcast, again, thank you for your super chat, Lone Wolf podcast. We got to check it out. Our current third-party system has too much division and infighting. We need unity to take down the Democrats and the Republicans. We also need to focus on the Senate and House more than just the presidency. Agreed, my friend. Yeah. But they have these elections wrapped up. We have to learn about these elections. They're still trying to cheat them even more. The Robin Hood situation, the way they stop things in the middle of the night. Yeah. It's like, to me, I had bad dreams all over again, and they're trying to further stop you from inquiring. This is the citizen or the candidate, more data for checks and balances on the registration polls in California. That's what they're doing now. They deny us data. They deny us data. They deny us data. Johnny, did they let Raji Rob see the logs? Nope. No data. You can't even look at the logs. It's your election. We can't even look to see who went in there. No checks and balances for you. DC, thank you for the super chat contribution. I'm a libertarian socialist caucus of the Libertarian Party. Fam, listening to this? I want to start the leftist libertarian caucus, but I like this libertarian socialist caucus of the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party has different caucuses. A representative MPP did reach out. However, our consensus rejected the platform.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Well, I would be willing to talk to you more, DC, on why you rejected their platform to see what's going on. By the way, we have 53 watchers on Rokfin. We love you. Awesome. Muhammad Asval, where have you been? Muhammad got here, left us a super ray. Thank you so much, Muhammad. We've been waiting for you the whole damn show, and you show up late. Frank has been waiting to speak to you. Did we read this one before?
Yeah,
I think AOC
did.
charlatans.
Yeah.
Okay, we're carefully placed. Keep sharing, says Dolores Lima. Keep sharing the truth to wake up the sheep. We will, Dolores. Thank you so much. Guys, we have literally 95 subscribers. We need 5 more. If you can help us out, if you can afford us, subscribe on Rokfin for just $9.99 a month, and you get everybody's premium content across the board, including Frank analysis. That was it.
All right, Frank. So, where can people find you? Where can and also any last words to say to our audience?
Yeah, I'm really grateful you guys brought me on. Let's keep collaborating with as many content creators who are committed to the truth as possible. You guys and Niko motivated me to not only just inform myself, but to actually be active, to go on the ground, to do more than just like sitting around and informing myself. Like, I really appreciate that. It was getting really empty out there, and it's great to see more people like me and Jackson, people like Steve Poikonen coming around, creating their channels to help spread the truth. You can find me at Frank Analysis on YouTube, at B43Franco on Twitter. You can also find me at Frank Analysis on Rokfin. I was able to get on that platform, thankfully. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, you made a big splash in such a small amount of time. I am glad that we all met each other, and we are collaborating together, and we look forward to collaborating more. Those names you mentioned, Steve Poikonen will be on Monday. Jackson Hinkle will be on Wednesday. We think highly of our new fam, and we're glad you're here with us, brother.
Thank you so much.
You got it. That's Frank Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Stay strong, brother. And remember to go over to his Rokfin. He talked about his Rokfin. He just got on the platform. Let's help him out. We've had a lot of you on here today. We've had 54 watching. That is great. We want to continue to grow the stream as much as we can. And that's it. Do you want to end it here, or do you want to?
Well, I just have a short section.
You want to do the short section?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it real quick. We're going to finish up this last section because it does have a lot to do with what we're talking about today. Go ahead, fam.
Right. So America is experiencing the sharpest rise in poverty in 50 years. And this is even from Bloomberg. And it's crazy, but it's really not if you pay attention to what's going on. So the end of 2020 brought the sharpest rise in poverty since the 60s, and this was according to a study released. This was a study by the University of Chicago, and the percentage point rise is nearly double the largest annual increase in poverty since the 60s, which means that an additional 8 million people are now considered poor. Moreover, the poverty rate for Black Americans is estimated to have jumped by 5.4 percentage points, or by 2.4 million individuals. The scholars' findings put the rate at 11.8% in December. So while poverty is down from the readings of more than 15% a decade earlier, the new estimates suggest that the annual Census Bureau's tally will due in September will be higher than the last official pre-pandemic level of 10.5 in 2019. And Black Americans were more than twice as likely to be poor as their white counterparts in December. So I just wanted to mention that too, because when I talk about class, some people say that that is excluding the racial inequities, and it's not, because when you attack the economy and when you give all people a stimulus, when you give all people health care, when you give all people actual debt forgiveness for loans, medical debt forgiveness, the vast majority of people that benefit from that are going to be your minorities, because they're the ones that are more in trouble. And so when I'm talking about class and the wages and the economy, and how we need some of these social safety nets, because this is, if you have a system where you're not helping at all, then you can't. Why are people paying taxes then? Why be part of a system that is actually hurting you? You would be better off on your own than having to pay the government for what, and for doing what in your name. And so you can say that's a very libertarian perspective, but I don't think it is. I think it's an American perspective. Why are you being taxed without being represented? At this point, we're not being represented at all. And so if you want to look at it that way, it is actually more patriotic to stop participating in the system that is screwing you over. And so now we're seeing that poverty is getting worse. Yeah. And we're seeing that when we talk about these things, when we talk about what Fred Hampton did and the Rainbow Coalition, when we talk about Malcolm X and what Martin Luther King Jr. was pushing, they were talking about the economy, and they were talking about imperialism, and they were talking about how that's directly connected, because there's no separation between our domestic and our foreign policy, because we do the same thing abroad.
Yeah. That's the thing we were talking about. We had Garland Nixon on. Go ahead and check that interview out with Steve Fund the Police. But he said it's also about the culture. People always question, why did this guy go and beat somebody up? He had a fight at the traffic light. He almost fought 2 people at the bar. Then he gets home and he beats his wife and he kicks his kids and he's awful. And people go, why does this happen? This guy is evil. Something's wrong with him. No, we have a culture of violence. We go overseas. We bomb the hell out of people. We just strong arm everybody. We're in their homeland. And, we have a history and a nature of violence. And we bring it back home, and that's that. And when 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, I mean, you have a serious problem right here. And these poverty numbers are only going to grow. We were down at Skid Row not too long the other day. Skid Row is growing. It's growing. It's expanding. Yeah. It's supposed to be shrinking. And that's something I hated about the whole Donald Trump presidency. We have the greatest economy of all times. The stock market is now above 30. This is an unprecedented era. It's been an amazing recovery like no one's ever seen. The likes that no one's ever seen. Well, yeah, guess what, buddy? Poverty's been growing. Homelessness has been growing. Not everybody has the money in the stock market. And then now when we use the stock market against the big guys, they pull the plug on us. It's just a rigged system. It sucks. The elites keep making more money, and here we are. Poverty is growing.
Yeah.
And nobody ever talks about poverty, fam. Obama didn't talk about poverty. I mean, Cornel West was trying to say, why don't any of these candidates talk about poverty? You know why they don't talk about it? Because if they addressed poverty, if they talked about it, they would have to address it.
Well, yeah, they'd have to address it, and they wouldn't. So then it would show you exactly how psychopathic they are. So this is a study from the University of Notre Dame, and it's just again reiterating that poverty continues to rise as coronavirus cases increase. The coronavirus pandemic has taken a significant toll on the U.S. labor market. Since the start of the pandemic, more than 93 million claims for unemployment insurance have been filed. While UI claims fell sharply from April through July, weekly claims have remained high since then. More than 1 million claims each week, about 5 times the pre-pandemic rate. Currently, more than 10.7 individuals are officially unemployed, and millions of other former workers are still without jobs. Early in the pandemic, the federal government offered a relief package that included large one-time stimulus payments to household and greatly expanded unemployment insurance benefits, but some of these benefits have expired and others are set to expire this month, raising important questions about the long-term impact of the pandemic on poverty. And it just shows you how much, again, the poverty rate did fall, but it's going to be higher after the fact. And then poverty has risen sharply, however, in recent months. As some of the benefits that were part have expired, poverty rose 2.4 percentage points after rounding from 9.3 in June to 11.8 in December, adding 8.1 million people to the ranks of the poor. So there.
But people get mad too when they say, "Oh, you're just trying to ignore race and stuff. You're just talking class." No, but you see in this report, poverty's grown by 2.4%, right? Yeah. But for people of color, it's grown over 5%.
Right.
So when you address economics, right? If you address it and you stop weaponizing identity politics and you address the economics, you're going to help people of color out more than if you just say, "Hey, I'm for you, Black Lives Matter. I'm on your court," but then you turn around and you screw them economically because they need that money for resources to help their family, just like everybody else does. You got something
100%, and you're absolutely right.
Stupid.
It's and nobody's saying we're not going to address racism, but
you address it by addressing economics, don't you? Now is that what it's saying?
It's not the only way, yeah. But I mean, it's a major way. reducing the inequity, because like we said, working class in America is majority made up of minorities.
Yeah.
So you were going to reduce inequity by addressing the economics of it, which is why Medicare for all, which also people of color are dying at higher rates from COVID than other people are. So if you are also addressing that, you're addressing that inequity too in the healthcare system. It's all connected.
It seems like that part's always forgotten though. Like they never address the economics, whatnot.
Because they don't really
want
to help
screw
people.
us over the economics, they can address the other parts of it, but they never address the economics, and that's bullshit.
And just further adding fuel to the fire, Instacart, if you use Instacart, I've never used Instacart, but I know plenty of people use it, especially now because, you know, these people get your groceries for you and they deliver it. During the pandemic, their use has gone up because more people are doing that. They're not going to grocery stores as much. But instead of doing something with that new revenue they're getting, Instacart is firing every employee who voted to unionize because these employees try to unionize. And these layoffs are hitting 10 unionized workers in Skokie, Illinois, in addition to other employees. And this is from Motherboard. The news comes as the company shuts down in-store operations at some grocery stores amid the coronavirus pandemic and doubles down on curbside pickups. The layoffs impact 10 unionized workers at a grocery store called Mariano's, in addition to other Instacart employees. The group in Skokie, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, voted to unionize last year with the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 1546 UFCW. It was a landmark victory for gig workers because gig workers normally you get treated like shit. You don't have any benefits,
your boss
nothing.
Is an app.
No, yeah, your boss is a freaking app. And so it represented the first time employees of tech companies that rely predominantly on contract labor have formed a union to collectively bargain for better wages and working benefits and working conditions. And so they were in the process of negotiating the first contract when the news of the layoffs hit. These layoffs are totally discouraging for any gig workers who are trying to do something to make these jobs better. This is what one unionized worker told Motherboard. They said they were fighting for health insurance and vacation time in their initial contract. So they were just basically fighting for not even anything crazy here, just health care and vacation time during a pandemic.
Health insurance.
Yeah, right.
You can still have to pay that deductible. You can still meet them halfway. Like Instacart is like, well, I'll pay half the insurance. You pay the other half.
No,
and, they don't even want nothing for you.
And so obviously this sets a precedent for anybody organizing as a gig worker against, let's say, Postmates is organizing, right? Let's say that happens. Well, this shows a precedent now because the company's leadership has shown its hostility towards these organizers. They ran a union busting campaign that included bringing in the managers to the grocery stores in Illinois to convince workers to vote against the union. So they didn't just sit back and say, no, we're just going to write this letter. They specifically brought in people to harass these people to vote against the union.
Them. I know.
To to use their managers against their workers. Do you see how disgusting that is? And so this has brought significant increase in demand to the grocery delivery. This year, Instacart plans to go public, an event that could value the company at roughly $30 billion. So this company is making money. So the company announced these layoffs in a blog post about new grocery store pickup models. So they're framing it, this is a new model, and we're going to transfer some of the impacted shoppers to other grocery stores and provide transition assistance to people looking for work. And so we know this is an incredibly challenging time, they said, for as many as we move through COVID-19 crisis. We're doing everything we can. But according to Motherboard, the workers are going to get as little as a $250 severance in the middle of a pandemic. $250. I don't know what you can do with that, but it's not much. And they don't know where they're going to get transferred, or some of them are going to get transferred, and the layoffs are happening between March and June. And that's what they're doing.
So we got to not use Instacart.
Yeah, boycott Instacart.
Boycott Robinhood. Boycott TD Ameritrade. Boycott these son of a bitches. Let's let them get hurt in the pockets.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is that they have so much power on the back end. You never know who's pulling the strings, fam. It's like, where do they pop up? In other words, what Robinhood did was pretty much essentially sack their company. It's going to be no more, right? All right, they have an IPO that was supposed to be coming up. So these people feel confident enough to do these things, knowing that they'll have another avenue of revenue or someplace to reappear doing the same thing, if not,
And these apps that are largely created by big tech, they don't. don't fear doing this to people because these people are indispensable to them because they're gig workers. We live in a gig economy, so they have zero protections against them. Like for them, there's no protections that these people have, and so when they try to unionize to get protections, which is normal, which 60 years ago you could unionize, and that's why you were making decent wages.
Absolutely.
And these people are protecting. Well, now the unions, a lot of the union leadership has become corrupt in most places, and the ones that don't have unions and are trying to unionize are punished when they try to do that. So you can't win either way. And with ASMID versus Jaffe, that happened during the Trump administration, that even dissolves the power of unions even more. So again, this is like Ask Me versus Janice. And the last thing, guys, I just wanted to show was that these people are our enemy. It's the elite, the 1% that have been set here to divide us, that are saying, hey, Pasta took an apple. Look, go punch him. And so then I'm busy punching Pasta for an apple when they're stealing the whole barrel of apples from behind your back. That's exactly what's happening.
Here's billionaire hedge fund investor Leon Cooperman on how he feels about the plebs.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people. And, I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and pull together. The reason the market...
We're going to work together, pull together, change the rules in the middle, and cheat you because it's bullshit. You're just going after wealthy people.
Yeah, we're just going after wealthy people because, it's not like they don't go after poor people like every day. I mean, these people really think like that. Do you see how he's talking about the working class? You're a nuisance to them. They want to get rid of you. You are valued less. According to the rule of law in this country, the working class is valued less than the 1%, because what do? They change and manipulate the market and the rules to the 1%, whether it is in the prison system, whether it's in the healthcare system, whether it's in something as stocks or the economic sector. They manipulate the rules to benefit only them. Whether it's in the news media, in independent media, they manipulate the rules in order to benefit the top. Your battle here is not a left-right paradigm. Your battle here is a top-down paradigm. That's what we have to focus on. And all these people on the faux left dividing people and saying you're a Nazi, if this and that. No, these people are the ones that would be willing to literally send you to concentration camps, and we still have concentration camps. Wasn't Joe Biden going to get rid of these concentration camps? No, we still have activists here fighting against the ICE detention centers because what he did was just the federal ban doesn't include those privately owned prisons. And who are they owned by? By these elites and these corporations. And they, again, bend the rules to get away with still making their buck.
And this whole talk left-right paradigm, when, we're talking about more people going after, the Boogaloo Boys, meanwhile they're saying vote for Joe Biden. How dare you talk to one of the Boogaloo Boys? We don't unite with ultra-right, far extremists and stuff. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is who they said to go vote for, and they're putting in people from Raytheon who were on the goddamn board last week and stuff. And I'll say this now, and I'll say it, I've said it before, the Raytheon kills more people, more innocent people in one day than the Proud Boys or the Boogaloo Boys will kill in a lifetime. Get your priorities straight. Get your head out of your ass. It's about top versus down. They even just stole from the common man here the other day. They cheated in plain sight, and they're open about it. They're not even hiding it now. Oh, yeah, we shut it down because we have bullshit reasons, blah, 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 bullshit reasons. I couldn't even understand what his reasoning was for shutting it down and saying they can only sell the app. You could only sell the stock. You couldn't buy it. They don't care.
Not to mention the fact that, real quick, that that Henry Kissinger can be interviewed on CNN, that Madeleine Albright can be interviewed on TOIT,
softballs,
that all of these CIA spooks work and are interviewed on a CNN, MSNBC on the regular, and I do not see any sort of outrage over that. None. These are the people that are actually manipulating things behind the scenes, and I don't see the outrage. I want to see the outrage when they get a platform to spew their CIA fucking talking points, to spew their lying imperialistic, the defense contractor talking points that they do when they promote Raytheon.
Yeah,
like that. Why aren't you pissed off about that? I'm not saying that there's no such thing as white supremacy. I am saying they're making it a much bigger deal than it actually is in order to get people to just get distracted, in order to get us to not look up. And that's what keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah, well, check out this meme over here. Robinhood traders with $600 stimmy checks. And Johnny, who's that under the table?
That guy that was on that last guy we just saw.
That's him?
The hedge fund manager.
That is him, yeah.
They're sitting at home getting their welfare checks. Why didn't he just say that? They're government checks.
Leech. That's what they are. They're the leeches. They're the welfare queens.
Yeah, they do. They get socialism for the rich. Johnny, anything else?
Nope.
Guys, that was a long show today. Thank you so much for hanging on in there. We have 95 subscribers on the Rokfin. We had over 50 people watching today. We still have 50 people on right now. We cannot thank you enough. Over 600 people watching today on YouTube. We love you, and thank you for watching over there. But remember, right now it is about suppression. It is about freedom of speech. They're curtailing it. They're stopping it. So go over to that Rokfin, ROKFIN. You can sign up for free, and if you got $9.99 a month, you can get our premium content. But with Rokfin, you get everybody's premium content, advertisement free, because the advertisers don't run, and you have to determine what we say. Like they do over on YouTube, okay? Because that's who they're looking for. They're advertising. What's advertising friendly? We don't worry about that at Rokfin. They take good care of us for our content. So if you can sign up and you can endorse for $9.99 a month, that would be awesome. We love you. Thank you to all our Patreons, all the people on PayPal who send us money. We can't thank you enough. We see those little tips you guys throw in there. Sometimes it's a big one. Thank you so much for going over to our PayPal and our Patreon. All of you people who've made it possible for the Convo Couch to get out there, get boots on the ground. And fam, are we going to continue doing it?
Yes, we are.
Johnny, we're going to continue to get out there? Johnny's going to get the white helmet. We're going to have to hold him back. We're going to have to scream, Johnny, don't go up into that Capitol up over there. So for Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella,
Johnny Sue on the ones and twos.
Convo out. Happy Friday.
Thank you, guys. We love you.